I'm Standing on a Million Lives follows the story of a high school student named Yusuke Yotsuya and his two classmates, Yu Shindo and Kusue Hakozaki, as they find themselves mysteriously transported to a fantastical realm. The trio is thrust into a dangerous and challenging world filled with monsters, magic, and quests. Their mission is to complete various tasks assigned by a game master, a mysterious figure who communicates with them through a smartphone-like device. Each task they complete earns them points and brings them one step closer to returning to their own world. Let's unravel the mystery behind this together. Yusuke, our main protagonist, is quite a loner in school and barely speaks with his classmates. But when he is in his room, he has a different personality entirely. He is always full of life and energetic with his video game. In the classroom, Yotsuya's class teacher asks him why he hasn't submitted his plan form, as he is the only one yet to submit it in his class. His attention is divided, as he can't help but stare at the two girls who are looking in his direction. For some reason, he finds it weird that the two are hanging out. Looking forward to his game at home, Yotsuya announces that he will lock the doors soon, but to his surprise, the girls are gone. Within a split second, Yotsuya is transported to another world. He falls from the sky and lands in an ocean. He swims out of it, surviving an attack from a sea creature. To his surprise, he meets the two girls from his classroom earlier, Shindo and Kusue Hakozaki. A half-faced person appears and explains the game rules to Yotsuya. They are in a game world. The half-faced person known as the Game Master explains Yotsuya's first quest to him, which is to fulfill the village chief's request in 14 days. To determine Yotsuya's occupation, the Game Master rolls a dartboard. The arrow points at the farmer to the disappointment of Shindo and Kusue. Shindo is a wizard, and Kusue is a warrior. Kusue and Shindo explain the situation to Yotsuya. Shindo is the first to arrive in that world. After completing some quest, she returns to the real world, and on the order of the Game Master, she makes friends with Kusue and gets her into the world. Kusue shows Yotsuya how to navigate and acquire weapons. They come across some creatures, goblins. Yotsuya tries to attack them, but he fails as his weapon and level are too low. Meanwhile, Kusue is scared to fight, and Shindo's level is too low for a magician. Yotsuya is killed by the goblins, but comes back to life after 30 seconds. That is the rule of the game. They can kill the goblin, but at the expense of Yotsuya dying again. At night, they make a camp near a fire, and Shindo tells Yotsuya that he gets to ask the master one question after completing a quest, which is the reward. While taking a watch, Yotsuya notices the forest burning, and when he returns, he sees a huge beast eat Shindo. He can rescue Kusue. The next morning, Yotsuya realizes Shindo won't be able to regenerate because she is inside the monster. Meanwhile, Kusue's hand is yet to heal because the monster ate it. They decide to go to the village and complete the quest without Shindo. At the village, the villagers regard them as heroes. The chief request is that they help the village defeat the monster troll which has been tormenting them. The troll is the monster that attacked them the night before. Yotsuya tells Kusue to stay in the village as he heads out to increase his level. He deems Kusue useless, which is why he leaves her behind. Yotsuya comes across a log that shows the past events of each player. He sees Kusue and Shindo talking about the guy they liked. Shindo says she liked Yotsuya, but before she could specify which Yotsuya it was, the log closed off. Yotsuya kills some goblins, thereby increasing his level rank to 9. He gets an alert that Kusue is dead. Wondering what happened, he dashes off to the village only to find it ablaze. He finds the village empty. Yotsuya sees a log point, and he realizes that Kusue sacrificed their life to save the villagers before the troll ate her. The troll appears and attacks Yotsuya, throwing him off a river. Running for his life, Yotsuya sees a goblin nearby, throws his weapon at it, and kills it, hoping it will boost his level rank. Fortunately for him, his rank went up, and the flow of time stopped for everything around him except himself. The Game Master appears and tells him that his level has risen to 10, meaning he can have a change of occupation. Yotsuya's new occupation is a chef, and the Master bids him farewell as he returns the flow of time to normal. Yotsuya seizes the opportunity and strikes the troll before the time returns to normal. He sliced and cut through the troll's stomach. As it struggles to get back on its feet, Kusue and Shindo revive. Yotsuya tells them that his occupation has changed. They try to attack the troll together, but they keep dying despite the troll getting weak from loss of blood. Yotsuya comes up with a plan. He will attack the troll's wound, cutting through it inside the body, and Shindo will blast her air magic through the troll's body. The plan is a success, and they complete the quest. The Game Master appears to them. He tells Yotsuya to ask a question since the task has been completed. Yotsuya asks what will happen after completing the 10 Qs. The Game Master shows them a war breakout from the future, where a huge monster destroys their city. They return to their world and they realize time hasn't changed, despite spending some days in the gaming world. Yotsuya gets a call from the Game Master while running on the street. He tells him his next mission. The Game Master directs Yotsuya to his school and the female restroom. He tells him to hit on the girl with glasses. The girl is getting bullied by other females, so Yotsuya decides to rescue her. He breaks the cell phone of the girls as they are filming her naked and flushes it down the toilet. While walking back home, the girl tells him that the bullies were getting back at her as she said something bad about one of them. She starts to cry, but Yotsuya doesn't know how to comfort her, and they both split ways. Back in the gaming world, the trio has got a new partner, and it is the girl that Yotsuya rescued. The Game Master appears and reveals that Tokita Yuka, the new girl, will be a heat wizard. He also tells them that their revival period will increase from 30 to 40 seconds. He delivers their fourth quest to them, which says they are to deliver some goods to Radodorbo within 40 days. While on an open field, a corpse bug falls from the sky and some centipedes and pill bugs come out from it. The pill bug kills Yotsuya and Shindo. Before he revives, Yotsuya uses his chef skills to view the monster's level and power. Yotsuya kills the two pillbugs after checking out their weaknesses. The centipede charges towards them before Yotsuya jumps on a blind spot on its body. Yotsuya cuts the centipede's legs, but that isn't enough to get it killed. Yotsuya swings Kusui's sword with her hand on the count of 3 and cuts off the centipede's head, killing it in the process. They arrive at the village and discover that no one is there again. A merchant passing by recognizes them, and he tells them that the village has been empty for 5 years, meaning time is faster in this world than in the real world. The merchant tells them where Radodorbo is, which is on the edge of the continent. He refuses to lend them his horse, but he tells them of a tournament in 𝐿, with the prize reward being 3 horses. Some bandits attack them on the way, and as Yotsuya cuts one of them, his rank is reduced from 9 to 10. They are not supposed to attack humans. They decide to run away from the bandits. After running for a while, they notice that Shindo isn't with them. She must have been captured by the bandits. Yotsuya decides not to go after Shindo, in order not to delay the quest much to the displeasure of Kusue and Yuka. Yotsuya suggests they split into 2 groups. He enters into the martial competition at 𝐿, and the other 2 go to save Shindo. Kusue and Yuka, on a rescue mission for Shindo, are captured by the bandits and they lock them up with Shindo. Meanwhile, Yotsuya kills some goblins on his way, and he gets a new occupation, creature wizard. Yotsuya loses his first fight to 𝐊𝐿 the knight. The spectators are happy to see him revived. In exchange for 3 horses from the people of 𝐿, Yotsuya decides to give up the location of the bandits. He is killing 2 birds with 1 stone, getting the horses, and also rescuing the girls. They decide to strike before daybreak. 𝐊𝐿 then uses the spare time to train Yotsuya. 𝐊𝐿 beats Yotsuya in multiple training spars. The girls notice Yotsuya heading towards their direction through the game map. 𝐊𝐿 and her army attack the bandits' base. The bandits decide to release a caged berserker, a huge and tall monster. 𝐊𝐿 and Yotsuya take on the berserker. Although Yotsuya dies in the battle, 𝐊𝐿 beheads the monster. The army raids the bandit base, killing every single one of them. 𝐊𝐿 decides to escort the heroes on their journey to Radodorbo, granting them the opportunity to have more horses for the journey, but on the condition that she will have to train them. The group decides to rest after a short journey as it is already getting dark. Yotsuya uses his chef skills to prepare a meal for everyone. 𝐿 decides to train the heroes, but they are no match for her. Later that night, Yotsuya heals one of the escort guards that was attacked by goblins. They continue their journey the next day and encounter some goblins. The heroes decide to take care of them to gain extra points. Kusue also made her first kill in the process. The wheel of the cart gets stuck, but Yotsuya and Bimsberg help to lift it out. With 15 days left, they encounter a group of armies with some civilians under attack by some monsters. After much thought, Yotsuya decides to go with Kusue to rescue the armies and the civilians, while the rest continue on their journey. Yotsuya and Kusue get into a battle with the monsters, but it doesn't take much time before they both die. After reviving, Kusue lowers her guard as one of the monsters charges at her, before she draws out her sword to stab it. Yotsuya also kills one of the monsters, leaving only one left. A returning 𝐊𝐿 kills the last monster, as Yotsuya lures it to her. Yotsuya heals the guards and also the civilians. The guards introduce themselves as soldiers of 𝐷𝐿, and they are transporting the criminals to Radodorbo for beheading on the king's order. According to the captain of the soldiers, the civilians violated their law by worshipping the foreign religion called Arteros. Yotsuya is confused, as he doesn't know if the event is part of their quests. Yotsuya gathers the heroes while the captain and 𝐊𝐿 are having a go at each other. Yotsuya suggests the goods the game master wants them to transport are the Arteros people, but it also means that they will be killed. Shindo tells them they should head to Radodorbo before they decide, after Kusue suggests they free the civilians after getting to Radodorbo. Yotsuya asks Kamilto why he decided to take on the dangerous journey to execute the civilians, and his excuse for wanting to make the world a better place by killing people who go against the king pisses off Kusue, and her outburst makes Kamilto want to attack her, but Yotsuya calms him down. The next day, Kamilto tells them there is an alternative and fast route that leads to Radodorbo. He takes them through a cave. 𝐊𝐿 traps the heroes inside the cave because they show sympathy for their prisoners, leaving them stranded with no way out. While trying to find a way out, they come across a trap which Yotsuya manages to alter. Yotsuya falls into a trap this time as he carelessly walks through a wall that slides him into a dungeon pit. He tells the rest to continue on the journey without him, as he wouldn't be able to climb up. The girls figure out how to bypass the trap, but Shindo sacrifices to go through it first, should in case it fails. Meanwhile, Yotsuya is determined to get out of the pit before the sun falls. The girls come out to an open arena where they encounter a monster called a gargoyle. Meanwhile, Yotsuya decides to dig a hole through the walls and use it as a step to get out of the pit. After every few attempts, he falls and dies. He finally runs out of light as his touch goes off. He finally climbs to the top of the pit, and he sees a log point as he walks through the cave. He finds out that Beamsburg is dead, which makes him sad and bitter. Back at the arena, the heroes fight off against bat vampires while 𝐊𝐿 takes on the gargoyle. Gargoyle stabs 𝐊𝐿's stomach, and she falls inside the waterfall. 𝐊𝐿 is distracted by the conversation she is having with Shindo, and Gargoyle takes advantage of that. Gargoyle approaches Shindo, she takes some steps back and kills a bat by mistake, which raises her level. The Game Master appears, and before he can change her occupation, she attacks the gargoyle before the time starts again. She remembers 𝐊𝐿's training and decides to attack Gargoyle's vital point, but it cuts her hand before she can strike. She grabs the hand and strikes the gargoyle dead with the sword in it. Yotsuya arrives at the arena, and he jumps into the water after he is told 𝐊𝐿 is down there. 𝐊𝐿 wakes up next to Yotsuya, and her guard tells her Yotsuya was the one who rescued her, and he passed out after healing her. She kisses Yotsuya, and the heroes are surprised at her action. Yotsuya wakes up with a shout from his sleep. He realizes they might have gotten the plan wrong. He says there were no specific goods mentioned by the Game Master. He concludes that the convict civilians might not be good, as no one is waiting to accept them at Radodorbo. Yotsuya suggests they split into two teams. One team goes after the 𝐷𝐿𝐶 soldiers, and the other team goes in search of the goods. Yotsuya, Shindo, and 𝐊𝐿 go after the soldiers, while the rest go in search of the goods. 𝐊𝐿 informs Yotsuya and Yuka about a concerning report from a 𝐷𝐿𝐶 soldier who has sent a message to the palace. They fear that this message might spark a war between the 𝐷𝐿𝐶 and 𝐶 factions. Yotsuya devises a plan to address the situation. They set out to locate the 𝐷𝐿𝐶 soldiers and rescue the convicts who are involved in the unfolding crisis. Yotsuya takes a bold stance, claiming that only he and Yuka remain alive. As a means of pressuring the 𝐷𝐿𝐶 soldiers, he threatens to spread the teachings of the Arteros religion throughout the entire continent if they don't release the convicts. 𝐊𝐿 and his group understand the gravity of the situation, realizing that heroes may be immortal but can still be captured. Yuka plays a pivotal role by leading 𝐊𝐿 and one of his men away on a false trail, while the remaining guard is left behind. Yotsuya executes his plan by incapacitating the lone guard. He instructs the convicts to create dummies using their clothing to simulate corpses. Upon 𝐊𝐿's return to their camp, they discover it in flames. Yotsuya reveals that his return was motivated by a desire for vengeance for their fallen comrades. He confronts the last guard and leaves him in flames. Together with Yuka, they seize the last remaining horse and make their escape. 𝐊𝐿 begins to realize that his decision to delay the heroes in the cave had disastrous consequences. 𝐊𝐿 and his accomplice reach their abandoned carriage to report their mission failure and the vengeful heroes to the king. Suddenly, 𝐂𝐏 appears, killing 𝐊𝐿's last companion. In confusion, 𝐊𝐿 faces 𝐂𝐏, who provokes him to fight, citing his subordinate's gruesome fate and the convict's safety. Ultimately, 𝐂𝐏 executes 𝐊𝐿. Upon receiving 𝐊𝐿's report about the heroes' opposition, the king assigns a mysterious hooded figure to find a solution to eliminate them. Meanwhile, Shindo and the rest of the party locate a courier they plan to escort back to Radodorbo. They face resistance, but Shindo emerges victorious, ensuring the safe return of the courier. Yotsuya, Yuka, and 𝐊𝐿 prepare cargo for delivery to the Radodorbo. Yuka senses 𝐊𝐿's unease around Yotsuya, suspecting her feelings for him. She tries to arrange private moments for them during their journey to Radodorbo, but fails. At night, 𝐊𝐿's confession to Yotsuya is a simple expression of gratitude for the chance to avenge her comrades, disappointing Yuka. Their group is the first to reach Radodorbo, but their initial deliveries, including convicts and 𝐷𝐿𝐶 soldiers' weapons, don't fulfill the quest. Success comes when they deliver the heads of slain 𝐷𝐿𝐶 soldiers to the local guards, clearing the first quest. Soon after, Shindo and Kusue join the group, reuniting them. With just one day left, they divide their efforts to finish the remaining quests and explore 5% of the map. Yotsuya and the others others split up to make initial progress in covering the ground. 0708. The heroes face a severe snowstorm, prompting deep contemplation. Yotsuya stays warm through layering clothes, but worries about clearing the map in time. He fears the harsh conditions might make revival impossible, as dying from hypothermia wouldn't allow for revival. Yuka, inadequately dressed, grapples with the freezing conditions. She yearns for a romantic experience akin to the dating games she enjoys. Despite her struggles, she pushes herself to keep moving. Shindo also suffers in the cold but appreciates the experiences she's gained during their journey. Shindo, battling through the snow, reflects on her initial solitude when summoned to this world and how her newfound friends have restored her strength and confidence. Disaster strikes as Yuka and Shindo succumb to the cold. With Shindo losing her way and falling into despair, Yotsuya realizes they must press on or die. In the process, he battles a monster, only to discover it's protecting its young. Continuing, he falls off a cliff, fearing the end for all of them. Awakening in a dire situation, Yuko constructs a makeshift shelter inspired by a magical girl anime she watched as a child. She resumes her journey, determined to survive by relying on strong individuals. Meanwhile, Yotsuya dies from the fall, but resurrects in an underground tunnel. As he explores the caverns, he encounters initially intimidating earthworms that turn out to be harmless. Shindo faces the grim reality that she cannot revive due to hypothermia, while Shindo meets her and after falling through the ice of a frozen lake. Yuka, initially overwhelmed by despair after learning about their deaths with no revival option, finds strength in her desire to become a magical girl. She casts a heat spell with her remaining magic, drawing inspiration from her dating simulations and childhood magical girl anime. Just as she's near her limits, a sorceress riding a white tiger, who sensed her cast her heat magic earlier, arrives to rescue her. With seconds to spare, Yuka and the sorceress use wind magic to narrowly clear the quest. Yotsuya, Shindo, and Yuka are relieved to be alive again. Yuka feels pride in her role, but when the game master appears, she questions whether this world is real or virtual. The game master reveals it's a genuine parallel world, where every choice in human history has created countless parallel worlds, making everything and everyone here real flesh and blood. Upon returning to the real world, they brought back their newfound skills and experiences from the other world. Yotsura grappled with social isolation due to the trauma of taking a human life, despite his improved physical abilities. Meanwhile, Yuka's personal growth was evident as she took up light sports. Shindo grew increasingly concerned about Yotsuya, especially after learning that their plan to rescue the pagans had required Yotsuya to take a life. Yotsuya received a troubling text message from the game master, questioning his emotions regarding killing. Upon arriving home, he met the game master in the form of a young girl with a straw hat. Yotsuya expressed deep regret for taking the life of a 𝐷𝐿 Emperor guard, acknowledging that he would not have done so if he had known they were real people. The master introduced Yotsuya to the next player, taking him to a Chinese restaurant. There, they learned that a drug dealer at the counter, along with his younger brother, was the target of the new player, Keita Tori, a 19-year-old. Yotsuya easily subdued Keita and engaged in a heartfelt conversation about the moral wrongness of taking lives. However, their respite was short-lived as the mafia boss who had hired Keita entered the restaurant, threatening Yotsuya with a gun. Yotsuya accepted the GM's offer to use his parallel world magic, using a magic glove to incapacitate the mafia boss. He allowed Keita and his brother to escape, but had another conversation with the game master. The game master questioned Yotsuya about his feelings regarding preventing a murder and taking another life. Yotsuya reaffirmed his commitment to his sense of justice, regardless of external opinions, bringing the anime to its conclusion. The scene opens with Keita's past before he met Yotsuya. To pay off his mother's debt, he agreed to kill on the order of the drug lord. The next quest begins, and they are all transported to the other world, including Keita. The game master appears and tells them the next mission. He also reveals Keita's job as a spear warrior. Keita challenges Yotsuya to a duel, defeating him in the process while the girls watch on. To know more about the next mission, they travel to Courtenay using time travel. They head to 𝐊𝐿's house to inquire about the mission. 15 years had passed, and 𝐊𝐿 is now a mother of two. 𝐊𝐿 tells them all she knows about the place they are heading to. At sunrise, 𝐊𝐿 confesses her feelings to Yotsuya before kissing him while the rest of the heroes watch on secretly. They arrived at Jiffin Island, and they were welcomed by two 𝐷𝐿, Yana and Aoyu, The girls are displeased when they hear they aren't mercenaries. Yotsuya and the heroes get to know the meaning of their quests. They are to offer a buffalo at the next festival on the island. The girls tell them they won't be able to hold the festival due to some monsters called orc occupying Kumamo Castle. In order not to get eaten by the orcs, they offered them their buffaloes, meaning they had no buffalo to sacrifice for the festival. The girls tell them to kill the orcs and save their island. Meanwhile, someone is eavesdropping on their conversation. The person goes to the castle to inform the Queen Orc. The heroes meet with the mercenaries that the islanders hired to kill the orcs. They tell 𝐾𝐿, the mercenary leader, that they will also take part in the fight against orcs. Yotsuya goes to increase his level rank when 𝐾𝐿 tells him he can't make the team because of his short swords. Keita and Shindo make the team instead. Yotsuya decides to farm to boost his level. Together with Aoyu and Yana, he makes some manure. Yana and Aoyu perform a ritual song while the heroes watch on. Meanwhile, the mercenaries together with the two selected heroes train on the field. They detect an orc sneaking up on them and they attack it. Although Shindu and Keita die during the fight, 𝐾𝐿 kills it with ease. Meanwhile, Yotsuya's level increases and his new job is a blacksmith. To utilize his new job, he goes over to the Island blacksmith to make a weapon that can kill orcs. 𝐾𝐿 then adds him to the team. 3 orcs attack the island, killing some islanders in the process. Keita and Shindu die while trying to fight off the orcs. Yotsuya kills one of the orcs with a new weapon he created, a bullet bow. The 2 orcs retreat with one of them hurt by Yotsuya's shot. Rice, one of the mercenaries, together with Yotsuya, acts as a decoy so Kusue and Yuka can take out the 2 orcs with the new weapon. They kill the orcs, and Kusue gets a new job as a hunter. The next day, more orcs attack the islanders, hauling huge stones at them. Yotsuya takes one out with his new weapon while Kusue, together with Yuka, shoots the other. Rice dies in the battle against the orcs, leaving the heroes disheartening. More orcs appear, but the heroes kill them with some great team effort. Yotsuya, Keita, Kusue, and Yuka go to get more bullets. Meanwhile, Shindu and 𝐾𝐿 run to the shore because they thought the Queen Orc might try to attack the ship carrying the children. They meet the Queen Orc who tells them she wants revenge on the islanders for killing her own. Shindo and 𝐾𝐿 get into a battle with the Queen Orc, with Shindo particularly striking the Queen Orc's back. Meanwhile, Yotsuya heals the injured island and mercenaries that are guarding the other part of the island. He leads the survivors to the blacksmith's shop. Kusue tells Yotsuya and Keita to go, while she and Yuka guard the blacksmith's shop. Yotsuya and Keita lead the islanders to the castle to face off against the orcs. A volcano erupted, shaking off the entire island. The mercenaries use that as an opportunity to kill a distracted orc. The volcano starts to shoot a bomb over the island. The Queen Orc kills a distracted Shindo with her body falling into the ocean. That leaves 𝐾𝐿 alone with the Queen Orc. The volcano fills up the entire island, leaving the islanders dead, while the rest panics. To destroy the orcs left in the palace, Yotsuya tries to bring down the castle so volcano lava can flow in, but Aoyu disapproves of it, saying the castle is a symbol of their ancestors. Yotsuya agrees with her and heads back into the castle in search of a good fighting spot. A dragon appears from the volcano thereafter. A confused Yotsuya sees the dragon, but he decides to focus on the orcs. Back outside, Yotsuya tells Keita his plan. They fail at their first 2 plans, with one of the orcs eating a part of Keita while Yotsuya dies. Aoyu tells Yotsuya that the child or he saw the orcs protecting the next queen. He then asks Aoyu if she knows any language that the orcs understand. On the ship where the kids are kept, the Queen Orc decides to keep them alive as she intends to use them as food on her voyage. Suddenly, a surviving mercenary lands on the ship, ready to battle the Queen Orc. Meanwhile, Yotsuya plans to attack the orcs with lavas from the volcano. Aoyu distracts the orcs while Yotsuya and Keita attack. They kill one, while the other gets burnt with lava. The scene shifts to the blacksmith shop. Yana notices a force is draining the life of everyone on the island. Back on the ship, the Queen Orc takes advantage of the tsunamis and attacks the mercenary, but before she lands the final blow, Shindu appears. Shindu engages in a battle with the queen, but she is unable to outmatch her. Kusue, together with Yuka and the blacksmith, draw the bow together and get a back shot on the queen, while she fights off against Shindo before the mercenary lands the final attack. The wave current had taken the ship back to island, which made it easier for them to get the shot. Yotsuya runs out of the castle with the orc child, while another orc chases in pursuit. He stabs the child before throwing her into the lava, while the chasing orc jumps right into it trying to save her, but it is too late. Ketia and Yotsuya go to the volcano top to fight against the dragon draining the island life. They meet Raji, a stranded islander, on the way. The dragon kills Ketia, and Yotsuya runs for his life. He grabs Raji on the way to save him from the dragon. Raji reveals himself as the dragon bishop who summoned the dragon. He thought Yotsuya had figured him out, not knowing he was only trying to save him. Raji says he was the one who brought the orc to the island. He must be the one who was eavesdropping on their conversation from earlier. Yotsuya dies thrice in a battle with Raji. Keita appears, but the numbers game does not match up as Raji kills them both. Raji runs to where Aoyu is and he tries to kill her, but she escapes at first attempt. Yotsuya saves Aoyu before Raji can hit her with his fire breath. Yotsuya combines the magic from his glove with that of Aoyu to cast a spell on Raji, while Keita attacks from behind. The attack is short-lived as Raji kicks Keita before escaping with an injured wrist. Keita, Yotsuya, and Aoyu discover a 6-star magic circle, while Yana simultaneously discovers another one before erasing it. The 6-star magic circle is what Raji used in draining the life force of the island. Yana can erase all circles made by Raji. The dragon returns to the volcano, and the island returns to normal. The heroes and the islanders hold a memorial for those who lost their lives in the battle before proceeding to hold the festival, as they offer a buffalo as a sacrificial offering. The greatest sorcerer, Fatina, saves Cantil from Raji, who was escaping the island on a bird-like creature. Back in the real world, Glenda, a videographer, approaches Yotsuya. She says a white girl asked her to approach him. I must be the game master. Yotsuya remembers the game master telling him that a 6th player, a white girl, would approach him. She tells him about 4 others that she met online who have been to the other world. They decide to film a video, exactly like the other world, so they can get the attention and comments from people who have been to the other world. Together with Shindo and some friends, they were able to complete the video after a few days before uploading it on a video website. 10 days after uploading, they get a comment from a user who says he is also a player. They get transported back to the other world, with Glenda, a new player. Her job is as an axe warrior. The game master asks them to pick from 2 options for their next quest, and before Yotsuya can think of what to pick, Keita picks the B option, much to the displeasure of Yotsuya. They head over to 𝐊𝐿's house and meet her look-alike daughter. 𝐊𝐿 had died some years back. They head over to Zagros, where their next mission lies. They encounter some goblins on the way. Keita tries to take the front lead, but the goblin kills him. Yotsuya notices the goblins are much stronger than the past goblins, before Glenn takes it out with her axe. While discussing, Glenn noticed a human was watching them from afar. They split up into groups to find the person. Glenn and Kusui find a girl hiding inside a house. The girl introduces herself as Jesby to the heroes. They ask her where Zagros is and she points at a monolith, a volcanic plug. The next morning, Jesby goes to get food, while Kusui and Glenn fetch water from a running stream. An unknown human creature appears from nowhere, with Jesby recognizing him as her father. Yotsuya recognizes the monster from a description an online player gave, and the only way to kill it is to cut off its head and burn it. Yotsuya cuts off the monster's head before they burn it. Jesby leads the heroes through a limestone cave, where they encounter vampire bats, leaving Keita to handle them. During a break, Jesby shares that her village's chief sends villagers on a journey to search for a safe place due to increasing monster attacks, and her father was chosen for this quest. She left the village in search of her father. Getting to the tunnel's end, Jesby tells the heroes to wait while she goes to scout the area. Jesby sees Frock, her childhood friend and neighbor. Frox tells her her mother is dead, but her brother, Lanen, is at his house. Glenn and Yotsuya meet Iris, the village chief's granddaughter, on their way to the chief's house. The village chief locks Glenn and Yotsuya in a dungeon after learning from Iris that it was Jesby who led them to the village. The chief goes to capture Jesby but changes his mind when he unexpectedly meets other heroes there. He tells them that Yotsuya and Glenn are feasting at his house, inviting them over too. He instructs his guards to capture Jesby when he and the heroes are gone. The chief traps the heroes on a bridge and cuts the edge, causing the heroes to slip and hang for their lives. The heroes find a way out of the situation and capture the village chief. At his mansion, the villagers are gathered as they have been hearing monsters roaring. The guards bring Jesby over with the village chief, lying to the villagers that the heroes are their enemies. Keita attacks the villagers as they try to mob Frock and his mother for protection, Jesby. His level rank reduces in the process. Huge monsters appear from afar, roaring. Glenn and Yotsuya dig their way through the floor of the chief's reception hall. With the chief and the heroes, they investigate a dry well, suspecting it connects to the limestone cave. Kusue sacrifices herself by jumping in to explore and signal the others if a passage exists. They quickly fashioned a long ladder to reach the well's bottom. The monsters reach the village, killing most villagers, including Frog's mom, leaving only a few survivors. With monsters closing in, Yotsuya sends everyone through the well. He recognizes multiple monster species and suspects a powerful human controller behind them. Yotsuya jumps in before the monster closes up on him. They arrive outside the cave with Yotsuya and Glenn investigating a nearby settlement while the rest wait. Glenn and Yotsuya meet some people who recognize them as heroes in the settlement. Some goblins attack them as they wait for Glenn and Yotsuya. Shindu's level increases as she kills some goblins, and she gets an elite warrior as her new job. The people at the settlement are those who left on the journey of hope. The chief is glad to see them, but the reverse is the case for him. Dan, Frog's brother, tells them about the New Eden. The chief further tells them, only people who choose to die themselves are led to the New Eden. The New Eden is a peaceful land beyond the reach of the monsters. Dan tells them about a Globan settlement up ahead. At least 30 goblins occupy the settlement. He leads Keita, Yotsuya, and Shindo to the settlement where they launch a sneak attack on the Globans. Meanwhile, the others find the village chief dead. He was killed with a single strike to his heart. Yotsuya and the other heroes defeat the Globans and claim the settlement. They hold a burial for the chief before heading back to the Globan settlement. Iris tells her friends about the flying monster she saw as a child, but they don't believe her. Glenn gathers everyone and tells them the one who killed Cox, the chief, was the cook, 𝐷𝐿𝐿. Infected with the wireworm, Iris kills 𝐷𝐿𝐿 at night. Glenn exposes 𝐵𝐵's secrets as the Dragon Bishop, revealing her manipulation of the villagers' perception and control over them, leading them to kill Cox and infect Iris with the wireworm, just as she did with her bane. 𝐵𝐵 flies away with the flying monster. Yotsuya returns to where the heroes are and tells them about his discovery. 𝐵𝐵 arrives at the cliff where the heroes are and reveals herself as the Dragon Bishop. She uses her power to control all the monsters to where they are. The monsters launch rocks at the waterfall, trying to attack the New Eden. 𝐵𝐵 attacks 𝐾𝐿 with magic as he identifies the magic circles. 𝐾𝐿 instructs Yotsuya not to heal him, but to pursue the golems as they hoard the magic circles. Yotsuya figured out the best way to fight the monsters is to take out their source, 𝐵𝐵. He engages in a battle with 𝐵𝐵, but all his effort is to no avail. He manages to cut her hand before proceeding to force 𝐷𝐿𝐿 through the open wound. The plant goes through her body, wearing off the effect of the magic on the monsters. 𝐾𝐿 instructs the heroes to take out the golems while they also take out the monsters left. Defeated, 𝐵𝐵 burns herself to death. The great sorceress Fatina appears and takes out the meteorite. Disappointed to have missed out on the fun, the heroes can get the villagers to the New Eden, completing their quest. As a reward for completing the quest, the Game Master allows Glenn to ask a question, and she asks him how the dragon was able to make it to their world. The Game Master says there is a hole that connects the two worlds and it's widening.